Hello, viewers. I'm SB, and welcome back to Duskpunk, where today both Markov and I are hurting for some solace. I have other ways of managing my stress, though. Do we have to? No, we only have one. Well, we're going to have to give it to Markov. How expensive is it to acquire more? We're under new management, so prices are lower. What? We made everything. We made everything better and easier by bumping off what's his face. I think I am going to try to tough it out a little bit, though. Right, what was it? Was going to shows at night can get us reduction. Did we know of anything during the day? I don't think so. But in any case, we can go help Markov out. I'm not exactly sure what our plan is with Markov in the long term, but the idea here is we're gonna get him off of the stuff eventually. What does my mission actually say? Okay, yeah. At the moment, we just got to bring it to him. It's like the problem is that it's super unclear how addictive this stuff is, and like what the actual effects of not having enough of it are, because it's treated very inconsistently, both within the plot and mechanically, and then also. Well, I guess it's treated consistently mechanically, but the way it's treated mechanically, is not consistent with the way it's treated within the plot. And it's just a bummer. I would love to feel like I had any actual facts about what it's going to take to get Markov clean. For now, though, as you push down the plunger, Markov grabs your hand. All right, that's enough. Keep half, so I can taper. Yeah, all right, half the dose. You stop the plunger halfway and tuck the syringe into his breast pocket. Thank you, comrade. It's been a difficult few days. What are you going to do now? Well, for the moment, rest. He sits up and pats the seat beside him. Sit with me a while. Yeah, actually, I don't have anything pressing to do for the moment, I'm pretty sure, so. You settle onto the sofa. He leans forward, wheezing slightly. For a moment, he looks. Well, it's interesting that I'm being given control of like an objective truth here. I mean, he doesn't look helpless. I'm right here. He looks frail. You gaze at this frail body, usually so capable of turning a crowd, reduced to a rattle of bones and teeth. He turns his paper-thin face to you and smiles sadly. I haven't felt this powerless since Queenstown. He sighs deeply and stares into space. Queenstown? Clearly he wants to tell a story here. It was a Cerumean colony, an island. My parents grew sugar, a cash crop. They owned a farm? Probably not. No, they were slaves. His voice is completely matter of fact. It was a hard life. I went to work in the fields when I was 7. By the time I was 15, the slaves had had enough. And what happened? We marched from plantation to plantation, our numbers growing as we went. We put the farms to the torch and broke the master's machines. The Cerumeans fled. The island was ours. And then what happened? I see you are a true historian. The key question is, what happened next? The Glorious Revolution was exciting, but marginal. But it was all for nothing. Our island could not grow enough food to feed us. Only sugar could bring in the money to feed everyone. So the newly freed slaves returned to the same fields they had risked their lives to escape. But you had already destroyed the farms. Precisely. Many crops were burnt and every machine was destroyed. Soon, even with backbreaking shifts, our government was on the brink of financial ruin. We needed new harvesters and a line of credit and food to tide us over. And I have a feeling none of that was cheap. Yeah, you have good instincts. We received every single item. Sorrow was only too happy to provide them. Well, that must have been unpopular. When people are starving, they will compromise to almost any degree. So we got our machines and our food. My people worked the sugar fields. We survived. The point of this story is not sometimes compromise is necessary. That's not what he's trying to tell me. But surviving is not enough. It is enough for a time. But you're right. Eventually the spirit must be heard. He sits up and massages his brow. And I realized the whips and chains were gone, but we were driven by invisible whips, bound by intangible chains. Once they ruled our bodies, now they ruled our purses, but the result was the same. And how old were you by this point? 16? That was the year I finally learned to read. I remember I wanted to understand. So at 16, I set myself the task of learning my letters. I knew books held some of the answers I sought. I mean, that sounds impossible is a strange thing to say. Like, people learn to read. That's at some point you don't, and then later you do. Like, of course it is possible to learn to read. You couldn't read until you were 16 is kind of a night, like... He's already laid out the situation for us. This just makes it look like we've not been paying attention. So I guess I'm going to say this, even though it's kind of just the thing that he just said. Yes, but more than that. I needed to understand what forces could make a revolution into poverty not only possible, but inevitable. I studied philosophy, history, logic, science. Every book I could acquire, I devoured. And what did you find? I discovered the forces that shape society, that allow a minority to rule while the majority suffer. I wrote books and had them printed across Serum, Orias, the entire continent. I hoped that one day we might use that knowledge to build a better world. And then what? Then I left Queenstown as soon as I could and came to Dredgeport. I knew the capital was a place of knowledge and power. I had to be here to do the most effective work. And I saw that the social forces that ruled Queenstown were active here too. He shakes himself. I don't often think about those years. I suppose it's natural to reminisce at the end of one's life's work. I'm feeling much restored, comrade. My thanks. I won't keep you any longer. You must be busy. Well, you know, it's funny. The way time works... Do you really think we can win this struggle? My life's ambition is to overthrow the profiteer system. He chuckles. Let us hope it is not in vain. He shakes your hand and smiles. Thank you for everything, Grieve. Now step back into the city and prepare yourself for what's coming. Alright, I do feel like, firing up the Firebrand Club is probably our next thing. We've got to be getting pretty close to it's time to kick everything off, right? Let's just have some political discussions. Seems like an easy enough way to do things. Agitation. So, okay, agitation. I was going to say, why is agitation connected to eavesdrop? How could eavesdropping affect it? But it's because it goes down on failure, which is weird. It's been a while since we did this. Gain a tip-off is attached to the agitation clock, but doesn't have... apparently, whatever... interaction it has is only on success. So that's interesting. Yeah, let's just discuss politics. Wow, double skulls, huh? You try to listen, but these ideas about class, power, and the dynamics of history are apparently very solidly beyond you. Like, for real, they are beyond you. Well, I guess I'm gonna push myself and then just, like, take some solace, probably. Alright. It's a pretty bad outcome based on the fact that our dice are pretty bad. I know I said I was going to try to manage it the old-fashioned way here by just taking in some music. I mean, let me see what we get. A little bit of a de-stress. So it's an intuit check. What does anxious do? Anxious gives all failure of previews visibility. I wanted to pick up... Oh, it was dogged that I wanted to pick up. Or scavenger, rather, which we did already. So... selling parts and devices at the ArcLight is not really very impressive. I guess the extra point into it is not nothing. We may yet run into actions that we do not understand. It does feel a little bit less than ideal to pick it up so very late, though. Do this one more time. Get ourselves -3 stress. Look at that. Look at our dice. They're all repaired already. Now I do need to go make some money. The good news being that I... Oh, that's right. I didn't actually gain those whispers. I re-rolled that. I was going to say I grabbed a bunch of whispers. We could work in the factory during the day. We could commit some robberies. I do have the ability to commit some robberies. Just brawl with random dockers. There's an exotic ship. Doesn't seem to have any connection to any of the actions in the area, though. So what makes sense to do with the rest of our evening, then? The thing that we would most like to do right now is gain money. Here we can gain a tip-off. Yeah, it's easier to gain money during the day, for sure. I mean, I could rob people, but it's not really... It's a thing we have done some of. It is not a thing I think that we are particularly well suited to. I could trade gossip. There's got to be somewhere to trade gossip. Rich people love to know what other rich people are thinking. I can't trade rumors for gossip. The Bone Horde, maybe? I can compress 5 gossip into a blackmail and then sell a blackmail for definitely an acceptable amount of money. Yeah, okay, maybe just acquire more gossip is the thing to do then. We are not able to even attend services enough to overhear anything. There we go. You hang back to eavesdrop on 2 merchants in intense conversation, but it's less lucrative than you'd imagined. I mean, it's not so bad. So it's really not that hard. You can drop a lot of stress pretty quickly. Okay, city's real in here. You can drop a lot of stress pretty quickly with the just listening to fine music at night, although it is not cheap necessarily to do so. When you wake, you find a note on the floor, weighed down with a stone. We all must act. Meet us in the old town at dusk. The old Winter Palace, M. Until dusk, then. You tear up the message and step outside. Plastered on every street corner are posters. They read, Curfew. By decree of His Imperial Highness, Dredgeport is now under curfew. All citizens must be inside by nightfall. To be on the streets after nightfall will be considered an act of sedition. That's fairly harsh. You glance around. A handful of people are on the street. 30 yards away, a watch officer is watching an intersection. What would be the point of tearing down a poster? They're all over the place. It's not going to make the law not the law. I'm not opposed to a nice to a gesture, but the gesture's got to be like for some value, right? There's some consternation at the docks. The docks are in turmoil today. The warehouse square is filled with shouting dock workers. What's with these tariffs? What's Dredge gone and done now? Redcheck moves to one end of the square to address the crowd and waves his staff for silence. I've got news to share. Pipe down. The Imperial government's raised the tariffs on all goods from the Orion sphere of influence. Well, that's half the goods that come through. Your Emperor says the demands of the war make it necessary. This goddamn dredge will be the death of us all. Redcheck rounds on him. Have some respect for your Emperor. Our little father guides us and protects... Phrasing. Our little father guides us and protects us. It's his job to make the tough decisions, and it's ours to bloody well obey. The tariffs are here, whether you like it or not. To make up the difference, we'll have to reduce pay. Redcheck, buddy. Oof. His face thunders as he barges through the crowd. His face thunders as he barges through the crowd. Yo, Redcheck, wait. Dude. He barges into you and knocks you aside. And don't you start. The dockers help you up. You watch as he disappears through the crowd. My man is all backwards. Well, I don't really want to be hauling crates. First of all, it sounds like the pay is not very good. Secondly, I don't want to be taking whatever portion of it they can still get. Like, if we're going to work, we should go work the line, right? Yeah, we can get 6... We can get 6 groats on a 3. And I do think I'm just going to work. Wow, and apparently I'm only going to roll the lowest numbers on the dice. There we go. Hey, like a real success. Just spent the whole day working. All right. Let's see what's what. I don't know exactly what's going to be going on here, but I figured it would be a good idea to have some money. You know what? I am actually going to stop by the music hall and attend an operetta first. And see if we can't, get ourselves de-stressed a little bit. So whatever is going to happen next maybe doesn't, we can come at it with good dice. Do I push myself to attempt to roll? Because we're going to get a -2 or a -3, right? On any roll other than failure. I'm gonna push myself. There we go. Because that clears the. Oh no, it doesn't. Okay, I thought we were gonna be right. No, of course, being full to that line fills the pip. Well then, let's try one more time. Okay. All right. And now, with good and ready dice, with a relaxed demeanor, you head towards the old town, toward the ruins of the Imperial Winter Palace. The door is long gone, the windows shattered, but as you duck through the bent threshold, you see the interior was recently swept clean. In the center of the hall, somebody has arranged a charred table and half a dozen chairs, occupied. I just think we shouldn't... Hush. Dolores paces restlessly beside the burnt-out fireplace. Can we start already? Markov looks up. Grieve, glad you could join us. Dolores insisted on your presence here. Apparently you are indispensable to the war dead. Ah, you've gathered together quite a crowd. The representatives of the city's many factions. I mean, it's obvious what's going on here. Like, let's just take a seat and hear the pitch. You ease yourself onto a half-burned chair. It creaks. Now, you've all seen what the Emperor is capable of. Death stalks the poor quarter. The firebrand burned. Gangs of Iron Brigade thugs terrorizing the city. Zai's eyes flash. And that is nothing compared to the daily slaughter at the front. Dolores rests her hands on the table. Her silhouette reminds you of a predator. Together, we represent the working class of Dredgeport. Your people are relying on you to make good choices in these treacherous times, but I believe our course is clear. And Dolores cuts in, the Emperor must go. A murmur of agreement, but Henry and Markov remain silent. I'm curious what Markov thinks of that as an answer. I know Henry's going to be like, whoa, that's way too much. But let's study Markov in this moment. Markov studies each face for a split second. You realize he's gathering information, who he can count on, whose loyalty or determination might falter. I agree, but this goes beyond one cruel tyrant. The Emperor, the landlords, and the profiteers work hand in glove, a tiny minority oppressing millions. How much profit have the warmongers made off your factory, while your people are mangled and starved? Nesrin nods, her body vibrating in fury. How many engineers have you lost to the War Office to craft their weapons? How many machinists have marched into the trenches to die? Zai's eyes shimmer, and she turns away. This war is a rich man's war. If Sarum wins, will the poor of Dredgeport see any of the spoils? Or will the war profiteers just hoard all the gold and plasm? Damn right. I'm sorry, am I working on my tight 5 here? Working class? Profiteers? What is this? Can you imagine saying something this daft about the subject matter at this point in the process? A decent emperor could fix these problems. Sure, I guess. I don't know where you would find one of those. Well said, Markov. So what are you saying? Okay, Henry hasn't had his explosion yet because he doesn't understand what we're talking about. Markov hands him a pamphlet. It bears a portrait of the Emperor with a grinning face, sharp teeth, and bat-like ears. Beneath it are the words, "The Empire must go." It's time for the people to shake off this butchery and rule themselves, and we shall be the ones to help them to it. Yeah, how are we going to do that, though? It seems like a big task. This will be our headquarters. We have maps, presses, lines of communication. First of all, we must show people they are not alone in hating this regime. Only then can their anger find a productive outlet. We must foment a rebellious mood and encourage protests. Posters, graffiti, and newspapers are useful tools for this. And bombs. Zai's voice is like lead. Strongest message there is. We blow up Parliament, where the Empire's bootlickers jerk each other off. Show everyone what we're made of. And if innocents are caught in the blast, we're at war. There are casualties. Are you joking? We're trying to get the people on our side, and you're going to blow them up? So obviously, like there's a couple of things going on here. One of the things is that like this is making reference to a pretty recent actual revolutionary concern, right? Like, I think anybody, especially because the I don't know where the developer of this game is actually from, but the way everybody speaks, it feels like they're probably British, or at least, you know, from the UK. And so anybody who is kind of familiar with anybody who speaks this way is going to be familiar with, at the very least, the long shadow of the Troubles. I guess at this point there's going to be plenty of people who are young enough not to have been around in that time themselves. But yeah, I have to admit, the bombs make me uncomfortable if we're not being very careful, and if we are being very careful, then I don't know if we use bombs. Are bombs and very careful necessarily um, necessarily exclusive? I mean, we have to try very hard not to kill civilians. I think that's a bare minimum. Try very hard. We can't just be exploding buildings willy nilly. For one thing, like those people are on our side, and friendly fire. Whether those people think of themselves as on our side or not, those people are on our side. Those are our people. But yeah, like is we'll make sure we don't kill civilians just dishonesty? Is it just pretending that we're going to be more careful and less harmful than we actually are? I don't know. Using bombs is probably going to be necessary. We're not going to be able to do this whole thing with wrenches and street fighting. Look, we try very hard. We make sure we don't kill civilians. Nobody wants that. You make it sound easy. You make sure you keep that promise. Killing civilians and turning the people against us would be a grave error. When the working class is roused and properly led, there's no force on earth that can stop them. And to that end, we should find out whatever gruesome secrets the Emperor is keeping. If we expose his lies, more people will stand against him. My comrades have found an important contact, a clerk in Parliament named Sylvie Pritchard. I've heard rumors he has a secret family hidden from polite society, and that gives us leverage over him. As clerk, he'd be able to grab pretty sensitive documents. Okay, I can do that. This is a talking to people thing, which is not my favorite thing. Well, actually, yeah, let me see if maybe somebody else wants to do it. How can we lean on him? Well, people gossip. Put enough gossip together, you get blackmail. Hey, I was just thinking that myself. Markov turns to Dolores. Finally, people have been flocking to the war dead, even those who were never drafted. We can turn these into our military arm, a people's army. But they need training and weapons. I'll train them. They'll be our revolutionary army. Dolores, you will be our general. Then I'm appointing Grieve as one of its commanders. I'm honored. It's not something I'm super comfortable with, but it makes sense, right? And the circle of people that it does make sense to have in positions of command is pretty small. We don't need your honor. We need to win. With both of us on the case, the war dead will be prepared and well trained. Then I'll lead them to the Emperor's bedchamber myself. Are we really going down this road? I mean, sure, the Emperor is a monster, but kill it... Dolores slams her palm on the table. If that's what it takes, damn right we are. I'm with war dead over here. Cut off the head of the snake. Grieve, what do you think? If we stoop to killing, we're no better than him is a fucking crazy thing to say. If we stoop to killing millions while operating a project that starves millions more in order to enrich ourselves and make ourselves comfortable, then we're getting into no better than him territory. He should, there is no way to have a legitimate... What's the word I want here? Legitimate's kind of a tricky word in this circumstance. There's no way to have an impartial jury trial, right? Anybody who would preside over such a trial, or anybody who would serve as a jurist for such a trial, is going to have their opinion about what they're going to... they're going to show up knowing what they're going to say. And there's not going to be any revealing, what would be the point of the court when the crimes have been committed in the open in front of literally everyone? No, I think we're at this monster's killed millions already. He forfeited his life long ago. An eye for an eye, one life for millions. Okay, so why are we fighting? We agree, the Emperor's gotta go. Quite, but the revolution is the key point. And the revolution would gain legitimacy if the Emperor were tried in a workers' court. Murdered, he becomes a martyr. Tried by his victims, he becomes a criminal. Then it's settled. Arrest, not murder. Dolores, like hell it's settled, and sweeps out of the room. Let her go. She's soldier. For her, action means killing. I'm gonna go after her. If people, I don't think Markov's right about this. Again, I think everybody's mind is made up prior to the court. But I do want to emphasize that I'm definitely not thinking an eye for an eye, because what would be the point of an eye for millions of eyes? Like, this is not about punishment. This is about, at least for me, this is about prevention of further harm. We're not trying to make the cancer feel bad about what it did. It's not going to. It's a cancer. We're just going to make it stop spreading, stop doing harm. I'm going to go after her. I want to try to talk her around. Look, half the people in this city were turned into soldiers, and half of them are plasm now. She has a right to be angry. And I hurry after her. Outside the ruins are a maze of shattered stones. Dolores slumps against a pillar. Look, I'm sorry. You begin, unsure what else to say. She takes in a breath slowly and lets it out, her whole body shuddering. Do you want to know why I hate him? When all but 4 of my unit was decimated, I became acting captain, and they sent me this. She fishes a paper out of her breast pocket. It's a 1-page imperial message, the edges worn. It's been read and reread so many times it's falling apart at the folds. It reads, Unit unfit, report to Plasm Generator 85C for disciplinary action. At the bottom is a signature like a spiderweb. His Imperial Highness Amos Dredge. Yeah, I'd heard what disciplinary action meant. If I'd obeyed that order, my unit would be plasm by now. Instead, we ran. Why have you read this over so many times? It's such a goofy question. I'm so sorry, Dolores. I had no idea. Not that it matters, like, that I had no idea about this particular horror is irrelevant, because I am acquainted with the kinds of horrors, right? Like, it didn't have to be this thing particularly. Thanks, but words don't mean much right now. He might as well have put you on that lich barge himself. You hate him too. Let's make a pact. If we get the chance, we'll kill that devil. So here's an interesting question, huh? I think for me personally, this is a no. Me, I would abide by the will of the group. But our character does have, as Dolores notes, a pretty personal grievance in all this, and that is part of what has kept us going all this time. And I wonder, does making sure that there's no way this man escapes execution seem important enough? Because, you know, if the trial happens, like I say, there's going to be some people who think that he ought to be executed, and some people who don't. And the trial's going to change exactly 0 minds on that. And who knows what the outcome is, but it's not impossible that, you know, the end result is that people don't have the stomach, or that people feel that it would be better for him to be imprisoned or sent away or whatever. And I don't think that sits right with our character, for sure. But I want to protect, like, the other thing I'm thinking is I want to protect Dolores. I don't want to put Dolores in a position where she feels like she needs to do something rash that's going to get her shot at a critical moment, you know? If I say I'll not swear to that, she's not going to feel it any less. Yeah, I think this is just a thing where the character and I diverge. For me, it would be I'll not swear to that. For the character, it's I'm in. If we can, we kill him. She draws her combat knife and drags it over her palm. You do the same, wincing a little. You clasp her hand in yours. We so swear, she says, looking into your eyes. By the smith, we'll forge a new world. I'm trying to drag her position on this away from an eye for an eye, although I get it, and toward like we're looking for the thing that's going to be best for the world beyond. Quickly, Dolores binds up your hands. Thank you, Grieve. You've always had my back. I never thought I could rely on anyone like that after my squad left. But here you are. For a second, you catch her smiling. Come on, let's get back inside. As you head back into the hall, the talking stops. Everything all right? He smiles apologetically. Markov's eyes dart to the bandages around your palms. Yeah, this is a really stupid thing to do. I never understand why people who want to do like a blood whatever, why it's always got to be a big fucking cut across your palm that's going to hurt every time you do anything for days, crack and open repeatedly as it's healing because you're, you know, flexing your hand, and also be really obvious to everyone. Just cut yourself somewhere that's less movie and less critical to your everyday function. I mean, even like a fingertip pinprick, if you feel like it being part of your function is part of what makes it meaningful, it's just like the stupidest way to do the thing. And then we left a big symbol of it so that everybody can know we made some kind of agreement. Ugh. So are we agreed? We unite the people of Dredgeport to throw off the Imperial family that's bled it dry. Yeah, I'm in. We can't keep on like this. Markov nods brusquely. Glad to hear it. Anyone else? Zai's in. We know Zai's in? We'll see. My first responsibility is to my people. But right now, this looks like the best option. Yeah, going from, hell yeah, let's bomb the parliament to we'll see is some inconsistent writing nonsense, but okay. Can we at least count on your discretion regarding this conspiracy? Mum's the word, she winks. Nazrin, what are you thinking? She punches a fist into the palm of her hand. Her gaze cuts you. Enough is enough. Henry hides his face with his hand. Are we agreed then? Henry? Look, me and Ruby, we're having a kid, you know? I grew up without a dad, and I won't risk that for my own kid. It's my kid, too. And that's why you ought to stay out of this. But we've talked about this, love. Well, I mean, what kind of world do you want your kid to grow up in? One where dad's there to pick them up when they fall. But I think you're all doing the right thing, and I've got an idea for you. There's a workers' holiday coming up. Smith's Son. Every year there's a massive protest. Last year there were 100,000 on the streets. That's perfect. So, Markov claps his hands together and rises. Suddenly jovial. Then we're agreed. We make our play on Smith's Son. Every year there's a massive protest. That's curious. What do we do until then? Put your affairs in order. tie up any loose ends, and make every effort to raise solidarity across the city. The more we do now, the more likely our efforts will succeed on Smith's son. Okay, we know of some places where we can do that work. There's a glint in his eye. Ambition? Determination? Optimism? Difficult to say. The city will rise that day, or not at all. Okay, well, we have a plan now. I do like having a plan. So I was kind of hoping that we would be told what day Smith's... There's probably a clock for it somewhere, right? Yeah, probably. For the moment, I'm going to try to finish de-stressing. Brilliant. Alright, it was a good night for us. Go and sleep in our ruined tower. This means we are still holding a dose of solace in case it is needed. Okay, here we go. So Smith's son is not long. It's not long from now at all. Alright. So... blackmailing this clerk is going to require proper blackmail, which is going to require a little bit more gossip than we currently have. What is the best way that we know of to acquire gossip? Oh, right. We have library abilities. You know, if I cross-reference my findings with recent newspapers, we might stumble on some unsavory secrets. Reading between the lines has never been so literal as you flick through a dozen scandal sheets. Okay, hey, look at all that research immediately paying off. Didn't even know what I was looking for until the moment I needed it. According to rumor, this clerk has a secret family. Let's see about that. You sit and wait in a nearby cafe. After an hour or so, you spot the clerk. He rushes in and flops into the chair opposite you. So, you know my typical lunch spot. He glances around nervously, drumming his fingers on the table. Look, let's get down to business. This won't take long. I'm not going to try to be, overtly threatening. We'll see. We'll try to feel out how nervous he is about the situation here. You slide an envelope over to him. He opens it. Father's balls! The cafe patrons glance over. Dude, can you maybe not shout balls in the middle of the restaurant? Shit. He covers his face. But this is outrageous. If you want us to keep your secret, you'll get something for us. He scowls. All right, what do you want? The Emperor's dirty secrets. That's a pretty broad remit. But there have been whispers about the war memoranda. Nobody's allowed to see Memo 122. And is that usual for a war memo? For troop movements or strategy, those are top secret. But this one's different. It's not just classified, it's been wiped from the records entirely. I've been looking for it for a while, though. I may be able to get a copy. Well, now you have the motivation to go and get it. He rises, glowering, and leaves the cafe. Half an hour later, he scuttles back in, a folder under his arm. His face is thunder. Boy, they really love people's faces thundering. The secrets in there are more than enough to buy your silence. Thank you. Damn you to hell. As you push open the door, you glance around at the customers. One of them looks at you suspiciously, her gaze falling to the folder in your hand, and then back to your face. Okay, we're still good. As long as we're not above 20, we're not gaining further suspicion automatically. That was really easy. So let's try to agitate the place here. The members are on fire tonight. You can feel how to fan those flames. I think I am going to trade in my revolutionary ideas for a tip-off. And I'd love it if we could get a success here and just crush this, but obviously if we spend a thing preparing, it's not even... We may as well just go for it, and then if we don't get it, we can take another action to push it over. You accost the leading members and put your heads together. I have an idea what they're planning. Damn them. Alright, we got our tip-off, we got our agitation. Easy. The club grows louder and louder, the members more and more agitated. Down with the Emperor! Down with the war! We're getting everybody pretty heated here. The comrades spill out onto the street, chanting slogans. For now, chaos. Soon the club will return to normal. If I make a speech... I'm assuming I could push solidarity this way. I wanted to get the club fired up. I wanted to get that done. Now I do just kind of want to push solidarity, I think. Like kind of with all of my actions. We need food. Let me work the line, hopefully to a success. Alright, that's fine. Just that I know we have enough to eat tonight. Costs are rising all over. Okay, well, that's a little grim. But it's fine. We're fine. Let's see what happens here. We'll listen to some speeches. Okay, try to follow their reasoning. Understanding dawns a little. All right. I'm assuming to make a speech will generate some solidarity. Ooh, or a call to action. Listen to speech again, get some more ideas. I'm going to prepare here. Uh-oh. A patrol, we're breaking curfew. Well, I guess we'll sneak. Slip down an alleyway, but not before one catches a glimpse of your face. I am breaking curfew. Anyway. Wait, I thought... with the success and everything. This isn't the time. We aren't ready for mass action. But after a tiring hour, you win them over. They'll follow where you lead. A restless crowd. Is this just a result that I am holding on to now? I mean, I don't really want a restless crowd. But I guess now that we've got them, there's some stuff we could do. We could blow up Parliament Hall with that bomb we built forever ago. What am I going to do with a restless crowd? It's like there definitely are options that involve the crowd, although I'm not remembering any of them now. We could go to the prison and... Nope. We could go to the Winter Palace. I do need to arm the revolutionaries. We do need to leak the classified document. I guess, yeah, let's start here. We have a bunch of stuff to do here. You hand over the folder immediately. Markov smiles. Well done, comrade. We'll have them printed in no time. And we brought some weapons. That's going to result in some wanted level, but also an awful lot of solidarity. Workers and deserters are lining up in droves to join the war dead. You and Dolores train them, and they'll train others. Okay, I cannot arm people again. We can evade the blue coats with our tip-off. My guess is this probably drops a lot of wanted level, and I may want to hold off on it for a little bit. What if I bring everybody over here to discuss the revolution? Yeah, unfortunately, I just don't think that we have a good way of utilizing a big crowd right now. So what I like, the crowd aside, big crowd aside, what do I even want to do with my remaining time. I guess just like things that would generate solidarity, or things that preface me generating solidarity, right? Go to some place and do a thing that will make it easier to get people on side. Raiding the warehouses, probably not relevant. See about making a speech? Terrible speech. Hold on, push yourself. We can do better than that. Not very much. Your speech is rousing, but you're distracted by two blue coats at the end of the street who take a sudden determined interest in you. Yeah, not a very productive evening time. Get ourselves a little sleep. And of course the watch are closing in, but we've got some time. The hideout is filled with stacks of booklets. Markov puts one down and nods to you. The presses have been running all night. A fine result. Are the watch onto us? This is treason, after all. They're poking around, desperately. You keep your head down. So what do the war memos actually say? I didn't have a chance to read them. Feels like I could have taken a moment. It's atrocious. He grabs a booklet and shoves it toward you, tapping a long paragraph. War Cabinet Memo 122. Our discovery of plasm was fortuitous. It rejuvenated our military's industrial capacity. But plasm is not simply a tool we must use to win this war. It is a revolutionary fuel source of strategic significance. Once the war is won, he who controls the plasm supply controls the world. Therefore, although Arias have sued for peace multiple times, such peace offers must continue to be rejected. The war must continue. As long as the war continues, soldiers will die, and their corpses can be rendered into plasm. Once the war ends, we will lose access to our most plentiful supply of plasm, and will be forced to fall back on reserves, such as graveyards, criminals, etc. This is unacceptable. Sorrow must build up a plasm stockpile while it still can. That is quite horrifying. I don't understand this politics speak. What here is politics speak? Well, this is horrifying. I never thought. None of us did. It makes me sick. The Emperor won't be able to keep this quiet. Not after we've leaked it to half the city. He must end the war. And is this all of the copies? No, just the final batch. Comrades are tucking these into newspapers, leaving them on tram stops and library shelves, and passing bundles to the unions and machinists to distribute to their people. The Emperor has banned it already, of course. Well, banning it's just going to call more attention to it. Quite. In my experience, banning a book only makes people read it more attentively. By nightfall, the whole city will know the Emperor's shame. Now, this is definitely not... Markov's experience on this front is extremely limited and has very little to do with, like, logistics, supply, and... It makes a certain kind of person more likely to read the book, but it also removes the book from places where it can be stumbled upon, which is the way most people read things. This is eliding a huge amount of really important stuff. Grieve, you've exposed a disgusting falsehood. You should be proud. And I mean, that's basically how every war works, right? It's just that here we have the quote-unquote luck of having this substance plasm that is like what if you could squeeze the truth until metaphor juice came out of it? That metaphor juice is the plasm. And the streets are packed. Passing through the docks, you find crowds gathering on every street corner. People whisper to each other. And I watch, waiting to see what happens. The workers, you realize, are from different walks of life. Some wear industrial overalls, others wear plain clothes, and a few are neatly dressed as though they're in the service sector. But all of them have got word from somewhere. All of them were called. The crowd slowly pull away, all of them heading north. You follow them as they merge into a column winding through the city's narrow streets. Finally, you come to the ruined amphitheater in an old town. This place is usually home to a few dozen scavengers and vagrants, but today every seat of the amphitheater is filled. The old stones, which once witnessed the ancient contests of champions and the debuts of plays now centuries old, are being used again. It's difficult to find a seat in the crush, but you're able to perch on a fallen slab. A figure steps to the center of the amphitheater, to a makeshift podium. Hey, it's Nazrin. Dredgeport workers, I thank you for coming. The bosses attack our wages. The war threatens our lives and the lives of those we love. She glances to the side. A worker clad in blue nods back. We are at war, but not with Arias. This war started long time back. We are at war with the rich, with the elites. They kill us, little by little. They distract us with this war, but we are not distracted. We are here. We are angry. She raises a fist. There's a yell from the crowd. It's Markov. And we want to fight back. Yes. So we, the unions of the city, have gathered you here to talk that exact question. How will we fight back? I'm not just going to shout. I'm sure there is a sense in which our enthusiasm would be appreciated, but this is not actually conducive to the question getting answered. I'm just going to watch the Congress unfold. They don't need me. You sit and watch the meeting unfold. Workers and union reps from across the city put their names forward to speak. Well, if it's war they want, it's war they'll get. We need to be training a bloody army. The bosses take and never stop taking. They've bled us dry. And what do they do with the spoils? Build bloody mansions. Well, I say we take what's ours. We built their houses and their factories. They've had them long enough. They should be ours now. A man in a neat brown suit, maybe a store clerk, takes the stand. Look, I understand where this anger is coming from, but let's not lose our heads. There's strikes and protests every day now. The city's on the brink of something ugly. My father did his share of strikes, and that gave his union leverage to negotiate and find a fair compromise with the bosses. That's how we win. Not by becoming a bloodthirsty mob, but by making a deal. We need the bosses as much as they need us. The amphitheater goes silent. Thank you, sir. We have no more speakers lined up unless someone else would... this is a part that we're not very good at, but I feel like I do want to kind of redirect that energy. All right, I'm going to step up. I have something to say. You stand at the center of the amphitheater. On blackened ancient stones, 20,000 eyes stare back at you, waiting. I agree that we shouldn't be a mob. We should be an organized, disciplined force. Mobs act in a disorganized way. They're full of energy, but they can't use it effectively. But we are here together because of union organization. Everyone who wants to fight should be part of such an organization. 100 blows scattered achieves nothing. One unified blow can change everything. You step away from the podium. A muttering sweeps across the theater. The crowd break into applause. From across the theater, you feel Markov's eyes on you. He raises his fist, beaming. Nasrin takes the podium again. This was very interesting discussion. One thing is clear. We are stronger together. We are stronger when we meet like this and discuss our problems out in the open. So, I have a proposal. You already have your union. You elect them. They fight for your rights. We need to go bigger. One big union for all Dredgeport workers. How are people taking that? The crowd falls silent, listening attentively. This big union will arrange strikes and protests across city, can push our demands more than ever, can be a voice for all workers. It will be the People's Assembly, our assembly. I call for a vote. Raise your hand if this assembly should be formed. Hands go up across the theater, a forest of raised hands, almost every worker present. Then it is decided. Each union, please send delegates to the assembly. It will meet here tomorrow morning. We now have People's Assembly, the voice and strength of workers across city. Okay. It's interesting that that was already yellow texted the first time it was used. That was kind of strange. All right, so what are we doing today? Well, it turns out we need to make some money because stuff's getting more expensive all the time. The best way to make money, since we were able to turn that other blackmail around. Boy, there's still I still haven't fully explored everywhere. Since we were able to turn that other blackmail around, we could still create a blackmail here and then sell it. So why don't we help out during rehearsals? Pick up some rumors and some plasm spirit. Oh, interesting. You keep the theater functional for another day. The singers are happy to buy you a drink. And I don't drink it. I just let them. They buy it for me and then I walk away. Okay. If we gossip with the richer patrons, that costs us rumor, but that's how we get some gossip back. And we need a 9+ to get the point of gossip. You know what? I'll prepare for it and I'll just... Okay. Works. So now... where was that action to turn the gossip into blackmail? Here at the Firebrand Club, we can do some more politics discussions. There was a spot where we were revealing, we were easily revealing not revealing. There's a spot where we were very easily turning something, like we were getting 4 or 5 revolution in a very very reliable way. Not revolution, the solidarity, you know what I mean. Oh, bloody hell. Where was that spot? Was it at... Wasn't it at the playbill? There's a spot where we were able to turn 5... 5 gossip into a blackmail, and now I don't remember where. There's too many damn things open. It's not going to be the arsenal. It's not the amphitheater, certainly. It's not going to be the prison. It's not Parliament Hall. Like, we clicked on all these already. Is it something I can only do during the day? It feels like... No, okay, it was right here. If the city knew, this would ruin a dozen families. What a scandal. So, the question is now, do we want to prepare here? Because there's probably a price difference between mixed and success, right? I'm going to go ahead and prep my sales pitch. Let's work on this. And then let's see who will pay what. Damn it. 1 point short. Unfortunately, it's really hard to get the clean success, you know? She nods as you go through the tale. Well, that would certainly be embarrassing for the poor man if it ever got out. 30 groats. I mean, I'm not sure that was actually all that action efficient. It got us something, I suppose. We can attend an operetta. Unprepared. Beat off a little bit of that stress. And then... I don't even have the rumors necessary to eat a rat. Well, I guess let's order some food. It's a little more expensive and it tastes a little worse. But here we are. And then, with one more thing to do, how do I generate solidarity? Where can I go to give a speech that will have any kind of meaning at all, you know? There's a circus ship. I'm assuming successful watch of performance gives you some de-stressing, right? We could just work on gathering more gossip because it is broadly useful. Like, just see if we can get anything at all out of... Oof. I'll just let that slide. I don't really want to take on more stress. All right, it's less important. Our nights have gotten a little bit less important. Our days are getting pretty important, and we've got to evade the watch again. It probably ought to be. I think we can probably do it now. Like, we've done a lot of the important things that I was worried would bring us more attention, and at this point, a lot of what we're doing is just raising solidarity in whatever little ways we can, while also just surviving the basic energy cycle. So at this point, my guess is we're not gonna gain as many big lots of wanted, and so we could probably drop it. But you know what? We can just worry about it next time too. I think we're gonna call it right there for today. This was a very productive episode in terms of table setting. We have a goal. We are aimed at it now, and next time some things are going to pop off, whether we're ready for them or not. I think we've done basically all we can, just because of how my stupid lizard brain works. I sure would love to see that solidarity number up at 3 digits. That feels like a big difference from high 90s, even though it, objectively isn't. But we'll figure out how to do that next time. So come back for that, and we'll see you then.